Hi everyone, today I want to talk about Google Antigravity, the Agentic IDE. And since its launch, I'm using it, and this is my main IDE, but not the only one. And the reason I'm using more than one IDE is because each one of them is different. Like any craftsmanship, I know that there are tools that look that they're doing the same thing, but they're actually giving you different results. Ask any woodworker how many different type of saw they have in their garage. They'll tell you many. They all cut wood, but each one of them doing it differently. Antigravity is a different IDE than any IDE that you have installed. So what do I'm using it for? The basic of any agentic IDE that we have today is the agent on the side that control everything and help us build the code better. That's like the basic thing that all of them doing, but they are all doing it differently. So theoretically what we have to choose is just the model. In each one of them you can choose between models, and this feels like this is the only thing that we can choose, and we do get different results, but basically we also choose the IDE because each IDE doing it a little bit different. So they have the model, this is the core thing inside the tool, but they are wrapping it with more tools. So for instance, model is limited with the amount of token it can get in each call, and your code base is huge and you don't want to send it each time to the entire code base to the model. It will be very expensive in tokens. So each IDE have a different tool that manage that. That they're saying, okay, this is how I'm going to read the code base. This is what I need from it. Some of them using RAG systems, some of them using internal memory, whatever they're doing. They're making a decision that could cost a complete different results just by picking where to look or what to remember from the conversation. And this is why you can get a significant different results from each IDE. And this is why I think you should know more than one IDE and make a decision depends on what you are doing. And if you are building something for browser, I think you will find out that what I'm going to show you today is a mind-blowing, and why you should probably have Antigravity installed in your computer as well. So let's start with the beginning. What did Google put inside this tool that for me make it a little bit different than the rest? The first thing they were putting attention is the main workflow. The first thing is the planning, second thing is the act, and the last thing is the verify. Okay? Plan, act, verify. Now you can say that you can feel the same thing with other tools. I mean, most of the tools today doing planning, and if you're using Cloud Code, you can have this specific mode of planning, and then you're going to automatically approve everything. We're missing the verify in the end in most of them. They're not, although they're putting some of them putting it into the planning, but it's not as efficient as I found Antigravity to do, and I will show you that in a second. Another thing that I want to show you today about Antigravity is the main areas or the main thing that make me choose this tool every morning again and again. The Agent Manager. And Agent Manager is a concept that I think Antigravity is doing very well. Agent Manager is saying, well, usually as developers, we are running code today with agents, and they are writing the code, and sometimes it takes time to write the code. And in this time, we need to do something because, well, they're doing things and they are working on our code base. So usually we cannot touch that code base in the same time. What we do? Well, either we're going to social media, or, well, we have other projects in the same time. So we jump into a different project. Now we're running two different tools that writing code for us, and we are focusing on the second project, and we are not aware that the first one actually stopped and waiting for our approval, or maybe completely finished to write the code and we need to decide what's the next steps because we are focusing on the second project. And that's where Agent Manager is a key difference and will really help you to manage that, and I will show you that. The third thing that I want to show you today is the sub-agent browser. So Antigravity have an agent that do whatever other agents to help you to do, but it also have one of the tools, which is Chrome. The first thing we need to understand that this is like any other editors. It's VS Code fork, so everything should look familiar from you if you're used to VS Code. On the side we have all the files and all those options that you probably look familiar for you, the search, the kidnap, and all the other. In the middle we will see the code. If I click on a file, we can see the code in the middle. On the right side we have the agent, which should be familiar for you from other IDEs, and on the bottom I can run the terminal. So far everything look the same. The only thing that might look different is on the top that we have the Open Agent Manager, which I'll explain soon, but the rest probably should look the same. So if that's the areas, what else we need to know about it? Let's just start with the agent for a second. On the agent area, let me just make it a little bit bigger here. On the agent area, we can prompt whatever we want. We can also choose the model, and Antigravity come with a limited amount of models, but the powerful ones that are outside in the market. So we have Gemini 3.1, we have two versions, we have two versions for the Pro, High and Low. We have the Flash. We have two models from Claude, the Sonnet 4.6 and the Opus 4.6 and GPT OSS, which I think this is like the top models to work with. But, and I would say, when you're installing it, if you don't have Google subscription, you're going to get very limited amount of usage of this tool. It's free, you can use it. But you will see that after a few sessions, it will send you like a message, you're out of your budget and you need to wait, and there is an option to see how much left. If you're using more than one account, you can actually cheat that. If you have the Pro version or the Ultra version of Google subscription, you will have much more fun. But Gemini 3.1 Pro is extremely limited model with the amount of usage, not with his knowledge. I mean, he is amazing model, but after a few iteration with it, you already reached the limit. And I have to admit, I barely use this model because Flash is doing amazing job in writing code. And of course, Claude, both of the models doing amazing job. So basically, I'm always focusing around those three. When will I use the Pro version? When I really need it to think. Really think. So if I'm designing something very, very complicated, then I will use the Pro. And only for a limited amount of conversation. I would just say, okay, let's just design it, let's plan it, and then I will go to Flash to write the code. So that's how I'm using the model. The other thing you can see on the side is the plan. You can start with plan mode, or you can start with alt plan mode. If you're already writing code with AI, you know what it means. Planning, this is where I'm usually starting. I'm always giving it planning because I prefer to see how it's structuring, how it's thinking about solving the problem before it's solving the problem. Usually that's the point that I can see, oh wait, you forgot that, or oh wait, I disagree with that. It saves me time and tokens before it's writing a complete new class and then, oh, I didn't like the way you write it. So I prefer to have a plan and to read it. We can also add media. So you can add files here to the conversation, or images, screenshot, whatever you need, just to make it a little bit more explainable to the model to understand what it needs to do. I mentioned you can add files, directory, rules. You can get stuff from the terminal and other conversation. That's part of mentioning. Also, I have MCP, and yeah. So let's get that back to its corner and move on. Let's just focus on the editor. I'm assuming you know how to write code with AI on the editor. If you're still writing the code, and I mean, it's 2026, some of us just stop writing code completely. But if you're still one of those who like writing code, yeah, autocomplete is obvious. If I would just go here, function, and now it's just like, oh, maybe you want this function now. And I can say, okay, yeah, let's do that. And then it's giving me autocomplete. Okay, so if that's the function, maybe you want, and all I need to do is just click the tab and I'm getting the new function. Let me just remove that. The other thing is that it will help you fix stuff. So let's say I have an error. Let's just put a space here. That's completely an error. You can see in two different places now, I have the red signal over here, the red line, which if I click on it, it will say explain and fix it. I also can see the error in the problem area, and if I click here, I can send it to the agent. So I have two options to ask AI to help me fix this issue. So let's just do it from here in this time. I'm going over it, I'm saying explain and fix. And now it sent it to the agent over here in the corner. And now it's thinking and it said, okay, I got it fixed for you. It didn't explain anything because it's pretty obvious. Oh, here comes the explanation. So maybe it's not that obvious. And it also gave me like the old way in VS Code, like when you replace code and you want to compare your old code. So in red, I see the old code. In green, I see the new code and I can approve that. And if I have more than one change in the file, I will have these arrows working for me, and I can go up and down and decide which one I want to improve. Maybe I want to improve all of them, maybe just some of them. It's all up to me. And probably if I would do the same from the problems, I could have it the same. Same thing if we are already down here for the terminal. If I have some problem with the terminal, let me just write gibberish here. So this command is not found. If I would just mark it, I have the option to send it to the chat and then ask the model whatever happens here or what's going wrong. Same things I can do if I will mark some code. I still have this button over here, or Command L, that will send it to the agent, and then I can ask him, explain to me this part of code. Do you think we can do it better or whatever? So far, if you're working with those tools until now, you probably didn't saw anything new, right? Let me show you something new. If I will go now to the Agent Manager, now this is a complete new window. And this window actually comes and says, okay, I have all the workspace that you're working on. So this is all the project that I'm working on. We are working on Project YouTube right now. You can see that there is still something happening in here. I don't know why, but I can go to all the conversations one by one. Yeah, this one is not finished. And just make conversation, or I can start a new conversation and decide on which project I want to work. And this is what I told you before. I can work on few projects at the same time, and this sidebar will actually show me what's the process of each conversation, will give me notification if some of them are finishing or waiting for my response. So basically I can write code without even seeing the code through this entire system. And I found it very useful when I'm doing few projects at the same time, and it's sometimes getting like I'm sometimes running 4 projects at the same time. It's mad. And I find sanity in these windows. So that's where I'm usually referring to when I'm doing these crazy development steps. Okay, let's dive into more cool stuff that Antigravity can do, and that's the artifacts. So let me go back here, and if you remember, I told you in the beginning, we have planning, we have act, and we have verify. For each one of them, there's artifacts, and artifacts are content that the agent will create, but it won't sit on your code base. It won't sit on the workspace. Okay, so what could that be? First of all, whatever I will try to do, planning is part of the option if I choose planning. So it could create artifacts that are task list, which actually say, okay, this is what I'm going to do now. And through the time, you can just open this. Artifact is basically just a file, and you can see through that all the checkbox and which one are already done. So while it's running, and sometimes we know it can take 20 minutes to write something, I can see the progress and I can know exactly where it is. And instead of just going on a huge amount of text, it's running, thinking, doing something, and I got lost. But here I have a task list. I can see exactly which steps the agent is now working on, and I feel more in control when I'm doing that. The other thing that is getting is a plan. So let me just say something here that will get us a plan. Let's plan to add an option for the user to reload the page. Okay, so I saved you some time. It was thinking, making decision, and then it created an implementation plan. And in the implementation plan, it said exactly how it's planning to add this button to the screen. Inside the plan now, I can see exactly how it's going to write it, how it's going to verify it, but I can also add comments. So I can mark like that, say, okay, the new button will be placed in the header. Maybe I don't want it. Maybe I want the new button to be, I don't know, make the button red. Okay, this is what I wanted. So I'm just adding a comment here. And now I can just send it back to the reviewer. I can add more comment for a different area, and it will update everything before it's starting to run the code. So now I have an update plan, and I can decide whether I want to go ahead and proceed or not. So this is part of the beauty about artifacts, that not only they exist, you can also add comment on top of them, and they are part of the conversation. So we talked about 2 artifacts, but there are more. First of all, there's the artifacts of the code itself. You know, when it's changing the code, and the way I showed you before, when it's red and green, that's also part of the artifact of the act. But what I really like is the artifact of the verify. So let me just go ahead and let it just add this button to my design. And in the meantime, I will explain to you what we're expecting to see. Every time Antigravity finishes an act, it produces a walkthrough, which is an artifact that explains what it did during the process. So once again, you don't have to go and read all the thought and all the conversation. You just need to read this document. This is one document that will say, okay, this is what I did. This is what I felt. This is what was my assumptions. This is what works. This is how I verified it. And this is the stuff that I didn't do. So for instance, I tested it with the unit test, but I couldn't run the manual test, and I need you to run those tests. And you just tell me what to do. Basically, it's prompting me. Until now, we just prompt the agent. Now the agent is prompting me and said, oh, well, would you mind testing this? Because I couldn't. And that's a very neat trick. So let's just see in here, it finished writing everything. I can see the task list. Okay, so I could probably show you through working, and I also have the walkthrough. And in the walkthrough, it's explaining exactly what I told you. And this is the verification and the manual testing and everything. So I just approved the code. And now I want to do something else. I want to tell them, could you please check if it is working and show it to me. Okay, so now it's running. It's open its own browser. And this is actually the website that I built. I guess this is probably the new button, the red one. Everything that you see, the mouse that is running right now, it's not my mouse. And it keeps testing it for me. And while it's testing, you can see progress in browser. So just making sure that everything is working. So he got full control of this browser. This is not my regular Chrome. This is a separate Chrome that's running in my computer. So it's not my account, not my password. Cannot go to my bank account or something. That's his own sub-agent, and he had full control over it. And when it will finish, let's just wait for that. It's still testing it. I guess he's doing a very thorough job. And once again, I can also go over the task and see exactly what it's testing and out testing. But now on the walkthrough, I can actually see that it's generating the recording. So I'm going to get a recording of this test. There you go. And I can review it, and you can see exactly, yeah, he's going there, he's changing stuff to get different password. This is a password generating demo that was built with Antigravity. And yeah, it looks like he clicked the button and see that everything is working, so he's keep testing it. So that's the workflow. And usually I don't even telling him to open the browser or close the browser. It just decided by itself when it need to use it. And sometimes it's like magic. I'm working on something and then I see browser on the other screen opening and I see Antigravity. Oh, I need to test this and this and that. And I don't even need to look at it. I will get a recording. I can get a screenshot. Basically, you can actually prompt it to like, give me a screenshot of the status now. And then you get a screenshot. And then you're saying, okay, give me a few different example of coloring palette for this screenshot, and it will use Nano Banana to produce few different options for you, and then you can choose the one you want. It will go and build it for you. Came back on the walkthrough, you can see the new screenshot of the working code. I find it to be a very powerful tool, and this is probably why I always use it when I'm doing any type of web building. Okay, so we talked about walkthrough, we talked about screenshot, we talked about recording. What's next? And for that, I have to mention all the tools that you can add and manage in your IDE, which is become very common. So obviously, we have skills in Antigravity, you have rules, you have workflow, and you have MCP service. So let's just go one by one. You can add rules. And rules are basically prompts that you want always to be on your context. So basically, this is stuff that say this is a must-thing. Every time I want you to remember this again. Don't lose this from your memory. And that could be always write in camel case. Maybe that's your thing. So you just making sure that I don't want to see snake case at all. That's driving me crazy or something like that. You can put whatever rules you want and the agent will obey for that. Now, let me, of course, show you how you do that. So if you will go to the three dot here, you can have customize, and here you can have the rules, and you can add the rule to the global or to the workspace. That's up to you. And basically it's an MD file. Okay, so you're just adding a rule, you're giving it like, let's go for workflow, and says, okay, this is the name of the rules, and then just continue with that. Workflow look the same, so I can choose a workflow and said, okay, let's add it to here. But the main difference is that the workflow will only work when you will start it. So basically, it's like a skill, but you have to demand to work with it. You must specify. It won't start by itself. This is why, for me, I have to admit, as you can see, I don't have rules, I don't have workflow. I prefer skill for that because I have more variety of option. And the skills in Antigravity is the same open standard of all skills for all the different agent. And what I really like, and I can show you that now, let me just go to the setting. I haven't shown you the setting yet, so open the agent setting. In here, we will go over the setting in a second, but if I will go to customize, I can also add a folder where my skills are. So beside putting it on agent skill, this is the library that you should use, I can actually say, you know what, let's also use the skills that I have for cloud, or even my general cloud skills. MCP servers are very helpful. I using Cloud Run, I using also other kind of Google MCP servers that really connect to GCP and help me do a lot of uplifting that I don't need to figure out myself. But you also have from other company, if you're working with Nation, MongoDB, whatever, you can see the list is long. Just select what you want, but you don't have to select from here. You can just define them the old-fashioned way, which is open the MCP config. If we already here on the setting, let's start from the beginning. When you will install Antigravity for the first time, you will have a screen with few options that are very related to security and control. And this is something that Antigravity, I think, is doing the best job from all of the AI code generating tools that I know. The first thing you will see on there, it will give you 4 different ways to do a quick setup. So you don't have to go to the setup page that I'm showing you right now. You're just doing it through the installation. The first option is the strict mode that we can also see here, which is basically, I don't trust you AI, and everything must go by me. And I don't allow you to see all my files, nothing. We're not friends yet. You need to earn your trust with me. And that will be like the most strict mode ever. It will make your work a little bit harder, but you can choose that for sure and said, I want to start the safest way as I can. Second option is the recommendment. This is also the one that I chose, which is a review-driven development, which means the agent will ask you most of the time what to do. So it won't start working on your code without creating a plan and then show it to you, and then you make a decision and everything goes by that. The other option is agent-driven development, which means the agent will decide when it's need to ask you or not. And usually that saves a lot of time. Once you have confidence with the system, there's a lot of questions that don't need to be asked. But there's some time that the agent said, wait, I'm not sure about it. Am I supposed to go to that directory? Am I supposed to do that changes? And I want the human in the loop to tell me what to do. And of course, there's also an option to do a customized configuration, which eventually, no matter what you choose, you can also go to this page on the setting and do it. So we have strict mode in the top, just click it and finish with it. We can define the agent what to do, so better always proceed, don't ask me question, decide it yourself or ask for review. I'm running asking for review even now. I do trust the agent, but I want to be in the loop all the time. I want to understand what the changes are doing, so I'm always using ask for review. And then you have the same thing on the terminal. You can decide whether you allowed everything to run on the terminal or not. And you can definitely enable the terminal sandbox. I won't go on all of those settings here. I just want to get to permission because I think permission is important. You can set which permission you want to give to allow, denied, and ask. In that concept, you can select whether it's a command that you don't want to approve or always want to approve, or maybe just wanted to ask for you. So this is what I did in here. I have some commands that I said, okay, these commands can always go on, and you don't need to have to do permission about it. But you can also do that for read file, write file, read URL, and MCP. So you can define, for instance, that for a specific MCP server, you want the agent to ask you before using any of those MCP tools. Or you can set, for this directory, I'm not allowing you to read. So this is like confidential keys here, or a specific type of file. So there is a huge variety of options that you can select whether to use or not to use, and that's give you more security and confidence that the agent will perform the way you want it to perform. And of course, you can always change that. Just go to the setting and do all the changes. Obviously, I didn't went through all of them. You have setting for the browser that you can decide where it could go and where it cannot go. We have the model usage and when it's going to be refreshed, and plenty of other things that you can set in this setting, which obviously we don't have the time to go over them, and you can do it by yourself. If you want to learn more about anti-gravity, plenty of content from Google on the web, and also probably you should check the code labs. They have specific code lab just for anti-gravity. You can see the link here on the screen. So you can do that. My last suggestion, use more than one tool. So take a weekend project, try it with anti-gravity, see how it feels, and then make a decision. I can tell you my pro tip. I'm using a lot of Cloud Code, but I'm doing it on the terminal of anti-gravity. So I'm running Cloud Code here, down here, and then I have a full way to manage something that's writing the code. I can still see the codes, and I'm using anti-gravity at the same time for different tasks or even review tasks of what Cloud Code already done. Definitely to the verification and all the dealing with the browser, I'm leaving it to anti-gravity to do the heavy lifting in that area and not to Cloud Code. Try it, feel it. You can write in the comments if you find something new about it that you like. As always, like, subscribe, and if you learn something new, please share it with others so they can learn it also. Thank you very much for watching.